What's up, everybody? Demon back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Pacific Rim news. I don't know why I said another at all. This is the first one I've done. This is the very first Pacific Rim 2, Pacific Rim Uprising news and updates. I'm not even used to saying the title yet. That's how new I am to this topic. I love Pacific Rim. The original Pacific Rim is one of my favorite movies of all times, and I could not wait for the sequel. Now that we have it, I'm a little worried because it's not Del Toro's directing, and I love his directing style, so I'm a little worried that it's not going to jive with the original as well. But Charlie Day confirmed that he is very confident in the direction that the director is taking this movie. So I guess I'm all for it, and I guess I really can't say anything against it until I actually see more footage of it. So this news update is going to cover literally every piece of news that I can. Literally every piece of news that I've come across since I wanted to do Pacific Rim news update months and months ago. So I'm going to have to try and really quickly go through all this stuff. Starting out, we got some behind the scenes pictures from on the set of Pacific Rim 2 where we see Jing Tian as well as some other characters. I think Scott Eastwood's in there. We see a lot of pictures of John Boyega, so it's really cool to see him on set. We know that he's going to be the son of Pentecost from the original Pacific Rim, so it's going to be cool to see the way that his character kind of ties in here. So I like seeing him running around. He looks a lot like Idris Elba too, in terms of he looks like he would be that guy's son. So I really like that, seeing that in this universe. We got the official logo for Pacific Rim Uprising. There's some concept art for the Gypsy Avenger, which is the new main Jaeger, more than likely going to be piloted by Boyega's new character named Jake Pentecost, so that's cool. Pacific Rim finished filming. John Boyega posted this picture on Twitter, and then he also recently announced that he was going back to work. The Pacific Rim was getting new reshoots, which is not a bad thing. It just means that it's getting reshoots. That's all that means, is that they want to make the movie as best as they can. Reshoots don't always mean that it's a bad thing. We have a cool concept art-ish poster of Pacific Rim Uprising featuring our three main Jaegers for the movie, or at least what we presume to be the three main Jaegers. Charlie Day confirmed that his character Newton would be making a return in Pacific Rim Uprising. Now getting into the main cast for Pacific Rim Uprising, we have Scott Eastwood. I'm just going to go through the cast, not their characters. We have Scott Eastwood, Jing Tian, fresh from Kong Skull Island, so that should be cool to see her make an appearance in here. I know the two universes aren't connected, but it's just going to be cool to see a carryover character from the two universes. Adria Arjona, Charlie Day. I freaking love Charlie Day. He's one of my favorite actors. He's hilarious. He's a great comedian. I loved his character in Pacific Rim 1. One of my favorite shows on Earth is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's the main character of that show, one of the main characters, so great to see him coming back. Cannot wait to see him. John Boyega, Burnham Gorman, another carryover character from the original Pacific Rim. I wasn't a big fan of him in the original Pacific Rim, Herman, but it's cool to see another carryover character. Of course, we have Rinko Kinkichi. I know I probably messed that name up. She played Mako in the original, so it's definitely going to be nice to see her in here. I hope that she mentions what happened to Raleigh. He's obviously not going to make an appearance in this movie. There were scheduling issues with Charlie Hunman, so he could not make an appearance in Pacific Rim 2. Sadly, maybe a cameo. I hope a cameo. I hope they don't kill him off screen. I hope they don't say, oh, he's been dead for years. I hope Mako's like, no, yeah, he's fine. He's doing great. He's just back at home or something like that, you know, where it's not like he's dead or anything, but it's also not like he's involved with the movie. That way everyone gets to win and we can maybe see him again in future movies. Other characters I'd like to see make a return would be Idris Elba and some flashbacks. I also really want to know what happened to Herc Henson from the original. I don't know if Max Martin is going to make an appearance in this movie, but I really hope he does because I want to see what happened to Herc, especially after his son died at the end of Pacific Rim 1. Spoilers for Pacific Rim 1, I guess. And I also really want to see Hannibal Chow return because we know from the after credit scene that he's doing alright. I mean, he crawled out of that kaiju, but I want to see him return. He was a great character in the original that made the movie very unique. We got our very first picture of Pacific Rim 2. It's pretty cool. I like seeing it. It's kind of got that old, like, gritty rundown vibe that the original had, where it was like really you could see that the Jaeger program was on its last limb and they were about to shut down. It's got that kind of like dark, messy, dirty vibe to it, but it also looks very new and blue, and it just looks really cool. And as we'll see from the teaser that we're going to talk about here at the end of the news updates, looks like the Jaeger program got its budget back. So once again, Charlie Day confirmed that he's going to be a main character in Pacific Rim 2. He actually didn't really say he was going to be a main character. He said his character was going to act as a connection to the original film, and that he was just going to be like a tie-over character, but that the main cast was going to be the younger characters. So kind of like your Force Awakens thing, but not 100%. So we got a lot of really cool pictures of our Jaegers, which I'll blast through their names here. We have Gypsy Avenger, Bracer Phoenix, Guardian Bravo, Saber Athena, and Titan Redeemer. So it's really cool to see all these guys. I really like the way that Gypsy Avenger is clearly the new modern Gypsy Danger. I also like the way that Athena is kind of our new Crimson Typhoon, and that Guardian Bravo kind of looks like our new Shenron Alpha. And it also looks like maybe Titan Redeemer or Guardian Bravo kind of look like our new Striker Eureka, and I get a little bit of Coyote Tango in there too. So recently there's the Comic-Con news that just came out, which we're going to talk about the trailer here at the end, but really quickly we have some new cool propaganda posters. So we have, first of all, just a normal Pacific Rim Uprising poster. I'm not really sure. It looks like they're using a lot of like cartoony art style. We even see a lot of that in the trailer. I'm not really sure what the deal is. Maybe the CG is just not fully rendered yet, so they can't show it off. But one of the best things about the original Pacific Rim is how great the CG is. It absolutely looks incredible. They blow me away. That movie, the CG, obviously it's not that old, but it holds up really well. It's some of the best that I've ever seen. Every time you watch it, you notice something new with the Jaegers, or at least I do, because there's always something intricate going on screen, and I do worry that we did lose a lot of that, as we'll talk about at the end with the teaser. Now we have some cool propaganda posters, which are Join the Jaeger Uprising, and again, we'll talk about it more at the end, but I really like the way the Pacific Rim Uprising's trailer, or at least the teaser, is very propaganda heavy. It's just like a Join the Army kind of thing that you see all the time on TV and in the movie theater and all that stuff on YouTube ads. You see it all the time. Military propaganda, it's all over the place. At least for us Americans, we see it all the time. The join the Navy has your back kind of thing, and it looks like this is just the same kind of thing where it's all that kind of like flashy, look how awesome we are kind of stuff. And then we got some of our costumes, so it looks like we have our Gypsy Avenger costume, which is the blue one, and I'm not sure who the green costume belongs to. Maybe it belongs to Gypsy's co-pilot, as we'll talk about at the end. We might not see a co-pilot for the Jaegers. It might be solo people from now on, which is kind of cool. So Bandai and Tamashii Nations have recently revealed a bunch of new figures that they're making for Pacific Rim Uprising. Bandai and Tamashii Nations, of course, being a few of the people behind the SH Monster Arts line, and these figures look really good. It looks like NECA, but maybe a little better. I'm not sure. The articulation might be better, but I think the NECA Pacific Rim figures overall, with maybe a few exceptions, blew me away. They were some of the best NECAs that I've ever seen, and unlike with Godzilla, where I'm always bagging on how bad NECA is, I absolutely love how great these NECA figures look, and I'm kind of sad that they don't have the license anymore. They did really well with them. But anyways, we got new Jaeger figures for each Jaeger. It looks like we're getting two variants for Gypsy Avenger. We're getting, of course, the Athena, a Titan, a Bravo, and a Phoenix. So they all look pretty sweet. I think these figures actually do look really good. I want them. I'm actually planning on pre-ordering the Gypsy at the very least, because I have the original Gypsy Danger figure from NECA, and I want to get the new one too. I don't actually own any other Pacific Rim figures, but every time I see them in the stores or anywhere else, I'm always blown away by how good they are. Now that I actually have a job and I make some money, maybe I can start actually spending some on that Pacific Rim merchandise from the original movie. So all the figures range between $23.99 to $32.99. Of course, they do seem a little bit expensive, but I don't know, it's pretty worth it in my opinion. Again, these are some of the people behind the SH Monster Arts line, and say what you will about SH Monster Arts, you have to admit that at least at one point in history they made really great figures, and I think these guys look like they're really great figures, and they do look cheaper than SH Monster Arts. You know, they don't look as 100% detailed. They're also a lot smaller scale. I'm not totally sure what the size of them are, but I don't think they're 6-inch. I think they're smaller than 6-inch. Maybe 5 or 4 inches or something like that, but I definitely don't think they're 6-inch figures based off what I've read. So of course they're not going to be like your SH Monster Arts kind of quality and size and scale and everything like that, but they do look really good, and the articulation looks fine as well. And plus, these designs for the new Jaegers just look absolutely awesome. Like, they are super cool. I especially like the new Titan Redeemer figure, because, or even the Jaeger, because he's just got this giant like ball hand, like this big huge like rolling ball of metal spikes on it. It's gonna be awesome to see that thing used in the movie, kind of like the way that Crimson Typhoon in the first movie had those things, had like those blade hands that he'd use, kind of like that, but it looks like this is an all-time spike hand, which is cool. Then of course we got a whole bunch of announcements for other Pacific Rim merchandise, like toys, collectibles, some random other stuff, board games, a whole bunch of random crap. And it sounds like we will be getting more announcements for new collectibles, including collectibles for Godzilla King of the Monsters, as well as Kong Skull Island later on at Comic-Con. I cannot wait for the Kong figures. I know you might be like, why are you always more excited about Kong than Godzilla? Here's the thing, is we don't have any good Kong figures, man. We never got any good Kong figures for Skull Island. I mean, we got the crappy ones that I bought. I spent like $50 on them. You know, I can say they're crap because I spent that money on them. But I'm really excited to see what kind of Godzilla stuff we get too. Don't get me wrong. We have good Godzilla figures. That's Age Monster Arts made a good Godzilla 2014, as well as NECA made a good Godzilla 2014. I hope that maybe some of these collectibles that are announced are an actual Muto figure. That'd be great, but I really want to see the new Kong figures and hopefully a good Skullcrawler coming out too. Well, talking about the trailer, guys, it looks to me, and this is going to be my really short breakdown, like there's not a ton we can gather from this trailer. So we have a returning voice. I don't remember the voice actress, but the girl who does the voice of GLaDOS in the Portal series, she is back doing the voiceover for this trailer. And you might be like, back, what are you talking about? She did the voice of the Jaeger. She does like Gypsy Danger's alert, like danger kind of thing going on inside of the head in Pacific Rim 1. She's back doing the voice, sorts of new crazy like super fluid kicks and movements that we never saw them do in Pacific Rim 1. That's actually what I'm worried about, is in Pacific Rim 1 you really gotta wait with the Jaegers and the Kaiju. You really felt how heavy and how huge they were. That's what Guillermo del Toro he specializes in. He killed it with that. Better than Gareth Edwards, I think, with Godzilla. You really just feel how freaking massive these Jaegers are without having to be like grounded in these often distracting low camera angles. And I know I might just offend Godzilla 2014 fans. Don't get me wrong. Love Godzilla 2014. Edwards is an amazing director. I just think Pacific Rim is just a lot better directed. It's a lot more entertaining to look at, in my opinion. Anyways, we see a lot of cool new abilities and returning abilities from Jaegers like Gypsy Avenger. We see Gypsy's laser pulse cannon again and Gypsy's sword again. Of course, we see that big, huge ball hand that's like this crazy spinning, like, I don't know what to call it. Just, you see it right there. You get to the point. Then we also see a bunch of Jaegers lined up at the end, which is really interesting because we don't know a lot of these guys. We don't know some of them at the very least. Like, at least two of them we've seen nothing of up till this point, so it's really cool to see these guys there. They look really sleek. Again, everything in this movie looks a lot sleeker. It's like what Transformers did, where they took like these sharp designs and made them really smoothed out and sleek. That's the kind of sense I get from this new Pacific Rim kind of thing going on. Also, if you look at Gypsy Avenger, it looks like Gypsy now has two nuclear cores, one at the top, which is a big one, and a sub-core at the bottom, so that'll be interesting to see if that's worked into the plot at all. But like I said, at least from this propaganda video, it looks like the Jaegers are doing a lot more fluid motions. Of course, that could just be propaganda trying to get people to join the Jaeger program. I'm not totally sure. It might just be that the new director's like, yeah, screw it with the weight and the real sense of scale. We're just gonna go balls to the wall with this crazy action movie, because I don't know, Pacific Rim 1 is a crazy action movie in my opinion, but I guess some people wanted it to be more mainstream, as seen by the fact that it had a really low box office in America. Hopefully this one does better. We see Athena's new plasma blades, which is really cool. And of course we have the famous bowing pose of Gypsy Avenger at the end of the trailer, which is famous from the first Pacific Rim. And if you pay attention, Boyega's character is a lone pilot inside the Jaeger helmet, maybe meaning that the Jaeger pilots no longer need to split the neurological load. It's possible that somehow there's advancements in technology now that the Jaeger program has new funding that have allowed the computer to do a lot of the work and heavy lifting for the pilots so that they don't have to carry the load all by themselves. I don't know, I like the whole dual pilot system in the original movie, and I don't really want them to do away with it. I thought it was a really cool aspect to set it apart from a lot of other giant mech movies and stuff like that. I don't know, I'm not totally familiar with all that genre. You'll have to ask Kaiju Noir on if that's true or not. Either way, I thought it was a really cool detail that I'm a little, maybe not upset, but, intrigued that it's not going to be in the new movie, or at least it seemingly won't be in the new movie, because we have Boyega in the Jaeger helmet all alone, meaning maybe he can just do it on his own, or maybe he's just, because he's the son of Pentecost, who in Pacific Rim, of course, was able to actually pilot a Jaeger all by himself, Coyote Tango. But I don't know. We also know that Raleigh was able to pilot Gypsy all by himself. But the thing is, both of them had already connected to someone beforehand that just got killed, and they had to pilot all by themselves from that point on in the battle. Also, one of them wound up having cancer from the whole situation. This new Pentecost's dad, of course, the original, he got cancer from it and actually wound up killing him when he stepped back into a Jaeger. So it's just like, I don't know, maybe they found some way to like step around that. Maybe they've gotten past it, or maybe because he's the son of someone strong enough to do that on their own, now he can do it on his own, and the radiation won't be as bad. As they talked about, the radiation had gone down because at the very beginning of the Jaeger program, they didn't really consider all that. And by the end of the Jaeger program, by the time that, you know, we had everyone going out there fighting at the end of Pacific Rim, such as Stryker Eureka, they had already cleared up that problem, but it was the neural load that was just too much by that point. Maybe they found a way to step aside that. Maybe it'll be like Iron Man, where there's one person in there with the AI doing a lot of the work too. So maybe that GLaDOS voice will be like a main feature in all the Jaeger helmets that'll be talking to them and like coaching them through it the same way that Jarvis or Friday or whatever her name is from Iron Man. Also, one last cool Easter egg to talk about from the trailer is the fact that we see the return of Knifehead, the most famous kaiju from Pacific Rim, arguably, seen on the reflection of the Jaeger at the start of the video. It's awesome to see him come back. I hope we keep the color scheme of the Jaegers. I love the fact that they were all grown, so they all looked very similar. I thought that was really cool. That does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. See you all next time. D-Man, out.